welcome, weary traveler, to a sanctuary where ancient whispers drift like stardust through the quiet night. Here, beneath the velvet cloak of timeless tales, we invite you to shed the burdens of the day and find solace in the echoes of creation before we embark on this journey into the dawn of all things. If these stories bring you a moment of peace, consider gently pressing that like button and perhaps subscribing to our channel, allowing these soothing narratives to find their way to you whenever you seek a tranquil escape. Now close your eyes, breathe deeply, and let your mind unfurl like a soft, silken banner in the gentle breeze of eternity. Imagine, if you can, a time before time, a space before space. There was no light, no darkness, no sound, no silence. Only an endless, formless expanse, a primordial void known simply as chaos. It was not a violent, tumultuous void, but a vast, serene emptiness, pregnant with the promise of all that would ever be. From this boundless, quiet expanse emerged the very first essence, a being of profound, nurturing presence. This was Gaia, the Earth, a magnificent, sprawling entity, not yet formed into mountains or valleys, but a comforting, soft expanse, a gentle hum of potential. Gaia, in her tranquil solitude, brought forth another, equally vast and calming presence, Uranus, the sky. He stretched above her, an ethereal dome of deepest indigo, shimmering with nascent stars that were not yet truly stars, but pinpricks of gentle, cosmic light. And so, in this most tender and unhurried of beginnings, the universe began to take shape. Chaos, the silent progenitor, yielded to Gaia, the nurturing ground, and Uranus, the encompassing heavens. Their union was not one of forceful collision, but of a quiet, harmonious embrace. The very air, if there was air then, would have hummed with a soft, resonant frequency, a lullaby of creation. There was no struggle, no pain, only the slow, graceful unfolding of existence. Gaia and Uranus lay intertwined, a vast, comforting canvas upon which the first brushstrokes of life would appear. Their children, the Titans, were born into this gentle order, immense beings, yet initially without the fiery passions that would later define them. They were simply extensions of their parents' serene majesty, vast and powerful, yet bound by the quiet harmony that had birthed them. Even as these colossal beings emerged, the cosmic veil remained undisturbed, a testament to the unhurried, almost meditative pace of this nascent world. The universe, in its infancy, was a place of profound peace, a quiet hum of existence, where every new form, every new entity was a natural, unforced continuation of the cosmic song. But even in this tranquil dawn, a whisper of change, a faint echo of destiny, began to stir in the depths of the cosmic fabric, a silent prophecy that would one day challenge the very foundations of this gentle order. And so, the vast cosmic tapestry continued to unfold, each thread a whisper of destiny woven into the fabric of existence. From the serene embrace of Gaia and Uranus, a new era dawned, marked by the ascendance of Cronus, the youngest and most formidable of the Titans. His rise to power was not a clamorous upheaval, but a slow, deliberate shifting of the cosmic currents, a gentle yet undeniable transition. The golden age under his rule began with a quiet promise of prosperity and boundless peace. The world, still young and vibrant, seemed to hum with an effortless harmony. Fields yielded their bounty without toil, and the rivers flowed with waters as clear as thought. The very air was imbued with a sense of timeless contentment, a tranquil lullaby whispered by the universe itself. Yet, even in this era of golden tranquility, a subtle tremor began to ripple through the cosmic order, a faint, disquieting echo from the depths of time. It was a prophecy, not shouted from the heavens, but murmured by the ancient fates, their voices like the rustling of dry leaves in a forgotten grove. This was the chilling whisper of his eventual downfall, a foretelling that spoke of a child, born of his own lineage, who would one day rise to usurp his throne. The words were not a curse, but a gentle, inevitable truth, a preordained cycle that would, in time, complete itself. Cronus, though a king of immense power and wisdom, found his serenity subtly eroded by this quiet pronouncement. It was not a sudden paranoia that gripped him, but a slow, creeping awareness of the inevitable, a deep-seated understanding that even the mightiest of reigns must eventually yield to the tides of change. The prophecy was not a threat to be defied, but a destiny to be, perhaps, postponed, or at the very least, understood. He knew that the cosmic currents, once set in motion, were not easily diverted, and so, as the seasons turned and the stars traced their silent paths across the celestial sphere, children were born to Cronus and Rhea. Each birth was a moment of profound cosmic creation, a delicate unfolding of new life into the world. Yet, with each new arrival, the gentle weight of the prophecy settled a little more heavily upon Cronus's heart. It was not a horror that drove his actions, but a sorrowful inevitability, a quiet acceptance of the difficult path he felt compelled to walk. One by one, as his offspring emerged into the light of existence, Cronus, with a profound sense of resignation, received them. There was no violence in his actions, no dramatic struggle. Instead, it was a quiet, almost tender act of absorption. He would gently take each infant, not with malice, but with a deep cosmic sigh, and draw them into himself, into the vastness of his own being. It was an act of preservation, in his mind, a way to hold them close, to keep them from fulfilling the very prophecy that compelled his actions. He believed that by containing them within himself, he was not destroying them, but merely suspending their emergence, protecting them from the fate that awaited them, and in doing so, protecting his own reign from the preordained shift. The process was one of quiet solemnity, a profound and sorrowful ritual. There was no sound of struggle, no cry of distress. The infants simply faded into the cosmic essence of their father, becoming one with his immense being, held in a timeless slumber within his depths. It was a silent tragedy, a testament to the inescapable pull of destiny, even for a king as mighty as Cronus. The world continued its gentle turning, unaware of the profound and quiet sorrow that unfolded within the heart of its ruler. The Golden Age, though still outwardly serene, now carried a subtle undertone of melancholy, a quiet hum of what might have been. The prophecy, once a mere whisper, had now begun to manifest, not in a grand cataclysm, but in a series of silent, sorrowful disappearances, each one a step closer to the inevitable dawn of a new era. The stage was set, not with thunderous roars, but with the soft, persistent rhythm of destinies unfolding. The vastness of the cosmic expanse often felt cold, even to a Titaness, Rhea, whose very essence was woven from the threads of gentle streams and the soft rustle of nascent leaves, found solace not in the grand pronouncements of her brethren, but in the quiet whispers of the nascent world. Her heart, a vessel of boundless affection, ached with a sorrow that no golden age, however prosperous, could assuage. Cronus, her husband, the mighty ruler of this burgeoning cosmos, sat upon his throne, a figure of silent, almost somber power. He was not cruel, not in the way lesser beings understood cruelty, but his actions, born of a prophecy he believed inescapable, had carved deep fissures in Rhea's soul. Each time a new life stirred within her, a flicker of joy, pure and unblemished, would ignite. She would dream of tiny hands grasping her fingers, of soft gurgles echoing through the celestial halls. But then the shadow would fall. The moment of birth, which should have been a celebration of creation, became a moment of quiet dread. Cronus, with a solemnity that belied the act, would gently, almost reverently, take their child. There was no violence, no harshness in his touch, only a profound, almost sorrowful inevitability as he absorbed them into his own being. He believed he was preserving them, containing them, protecting his reign from the foretold doom. But to Rhea, it was a loss. Each time a piece of her own heart was swallowed into that silent abyss. Her children, Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, Poseidon, all gone. Not truly gone, perhaps, but certainly beyond her embrace. Their laughter, their cries, their very presence existed only as echoes in the chambers of her memory. She would often wander through the ethereal gardens of their celestial abode, her steps silent, her gaze distant. The vibrant blossoms, the shimmering dew, the gentle hum of cosmic energy, all seemed to mock the emptiness within her. She longed to nurture, to guide, to simply hold. Her love was an ocean, vast and deep, but it had no shore to meet, no child to envelop. Rhea's sorrow was not a tempest of wails and lamentations. It was a quiet, persistent ache, like the slow erosion of a riverbank. It settled deep within her, a constant companion. Yet within this profound despair, a tiny ember began to glow. It was defiance, not born of anger or rebellion, but of a mother's instinct, fierce and unwavering. She was gentle, yes, her spirit aligned with the softest breezes, but within that gentleness lay a resilience as unyielding as the ancient mountains. She watched Cronus, observed the deep lines etched around his eyes, the almost imperceptible tremor in his hands when he performed his solemn ritual. He was burdened by his fate, she knew, but his burden was becoming her children's undoing, and that she could no longer bear. A new life stirred within her now, a faint flutter, a promise of another dawn. This time, the fear was still present, a cold knot in her stomach, but it was accompanied by something else, a nascent hope, a quiet resolve that solidified with each passing moment. She could not allow this child, this precious new spark, to vanish into the same silent void. This child, she knew with a certainty that resonated through her very being, must be saved. The thought, once a fleeting whisper, now became a firm intention. She would defy fate, not through violence or confrontation, but through wisdom and ingenuity. Her heart, so long burdened by grief, began to beat with a new, quiet determination. She needed guidance, counsel that transcended the immediate concerns of her husband's reign. Her thoughts turned to the primordial beings, those who had witnessed the very genesis of creation. Gaia, the earth, her mother, whose wisdom was as deep as the planet's core, and Uranus, the sky, her father, whose foresight stretched across the cosmic tapestry. They would know. They would understand the delicate balance between destiny and free will. She sought out Gaia first, descending into the deep, resonant chambers of the earth, where the very pulse of creation could be felt. Gaia, immense and ancient, received her daughter not with words, but with a profound, comforting embrace that seemed to absorb Rhea's sorrow and replace it with a quiet strength. Through a silent communion, a transfer of ancient knowledge, Gaia imparted the wisdom of cycles, of the inevitability of change, and the subtle power of nurturing life against all odds. She spoke of hidden pathways, of the earth's secret places, and of the enduring strength of a mother's love. Then, Rhea ascended to the ethereal expanse of Uranus, the sky. He enveloped her in a shimmering veil of starlight, his presence vast and encompassing. Uranus, with his cosmic foresight, revealed the intricate threads of destiny, not as rigid chains, but as currents that could be subtly navigated. He spoke of the importance of timing, of the power of illusion, and of the profound impact a single, gentle act could have on the grand tapestry of existence. He showed her visions of a future where balance was restored, a future that depended on her quiet courage. Armed with this ancient wisdom, Rhea returned, her resolve now unshakable. She would approach them, not with demands, but with the quiet plea of a mother desperate to protect her child. The seeds of her plan, still fragile, began to take root in the fertile ground of her sorrow and hope. She would find a way. She would ensure this child, this last precious hope, would not be lost. The silence of the celestial palace, once a source of unbearable emptiness, now seemed to hum with the quiet energy of her burgeoning resolve. The gentle Titaness, who had known only profound grief, was now poised on the precipice of a silent revolution, a testament to the enduring strength of a mother's love. She would save Zeus in the hushed heart of Crete, nestled deep within a cave, whose entrance was veiled by ancient, gnarled olive trees and the gentle murmur of a hidden spring. A quiet miracle unfolded. The air within was cool and damp, carrying the faint scent of earth and wild thyme, a sanctuary untouched by the harsh light of the outside world. Here, away from the vast, echoing halls where Cronus held his solemn vigil, Rhea brought forth her youngest son. It was not a moment of struggle or pain, but of profound, serene triumph, a whisper of hope in the grand cosmic tapestry. The infant, Zeus, was born into a world of soft shadows and protective embraces. His cries were not sharp or demanding, but soft, like the cooing of a dove, quickly soothed by the gentle hands that reached for him. Nymphs, with their skin like the bark of young trees and eyes like the clear mountain springs, gathered around, their movements as fluid as the water that trickled over moss-covered stones. They were the guardians of this hidden cradle, their presence a soft hum of watchful devotion. They brought him the sweetest honey, gathered from the wild bees that buzzed lazily among the blossoms outside, and the freshest milk from Amalthea, a gentle goat whose bleating was a lullaby in itself. The Curetes, mighty and unwavering, yet moving with a surprising lightness, stood guard at the cave's mouth. Their purpose was to ensure that no sound, no hint of the precious life within, reached the ears of Cronus. When the infant Zeus let out a cry that might carry too far, the Curetes would gently tap their spears against their shields, creating a soft, rhythmic clatter. This sound was specifically designed to mimic the distant sound of thunder or the rustling of leaves in a strong breeze, effectively masking any infant cries. It was a soothing, rhythmic sound, not jarring, but a natural part of the cave's symphony, designed to blend seamlessly with the whispers of the wind and the drip of water. This rhythmic sound, a protective lullaby, echoed softly through the chamber, ensuring that the infant's presence remained a profound secret. Meanwhile, far away in his grand, silent hall, Cronus awaited the birth. Rhea, her heart a fragile vessel brimming with both sorrow and a fierce, quiet resolve, knew what she had to do. With the wisdom bestowed upon her by Gaia and Uranus, she had prepared a deception, not born of malice, but of a desperate, gentle need to preserve life. She wrapped a stone, smooth and round from the riverbed, in the finest swaddling clothes, its weight surprisingly similar to that of a newborn. It was an act of profound courage, a mother's silent rebellion against a fate that sought to consume her children. When she presented the bundled stone to Cronus, her gaze was steady, her expression veiled in the quiet sorrow he had come to expect. He took the bundle, his large hands careful, his movements slow and deliberate. He did not look at the bundle with hunger or aggression, but with a deep, resigned sigh, a silent acknowledgement of the prophecy that weighed upon him. He absorbed the stone, believing it to be his latest offspring, and returned to his throne, his ancient eyes distant, his burden seemingly eased for a moment. He was oblivious to the quiet triumph that had unfolded in the hidden cave, unaware that the very act he believed would secure his reign was, in fact, the seed of his eventual transformation. Back in the cave, Zeus grew, nurtured by the soft light that filtered through the leaves, by the gentle breezes that carried the scent of wildflowers, and by the constant, unwavering devotion of his protectors. His upbringing was one of profound peace and serenity. He was not exposed to the harshness of the world, but to its gentlest aspects. The nymphs taught him the language of the streams and the trees, the kurites, the rhythms of the earth. He learned to differentiate the soft rustle of a mouse from the heavy tread of a deer, the gentle hum of a bee from the distant call of a mountain bird. His days were filled with the quiet wonders of nature. He would watch the sunlight dance on the cave walls, listen to the gentle drip of water forming tiny puddles on the stone floor, and feel the soft breath of the wind as it whispered through the cave entrance. He was a child of the earth, nurtured by its secrets, his spirit growing strong and clear, unburdened by the shadows of his lineage. This quiet, serene existence was a deliberate choice, a haven crafted by a mother's love, designed to imbue him with the wisdom and patience necessary for the great destiny that awaited him. He was a secret, a hope, a gentle revolution blossoming in the heart of a hidden mountain. The world outside continued its slow, steady turning, oblivious to the profound shift that had begun with the quiet birth of a child in a hidden cave, protected by the soft whispers of nymphs and the rhythmic, soothing clatter of shields. This upbringing, steeped in the gentle rhythms of nature and the quiet strength of his protectors, would shape Zeus into a leader unlike any before him, one who understood that true power lay not in dominance, but in harmony, and that the greatest victories were often won not through force, but through wisdom and compassion. The soft, perpetual twilight within the cave on Mount Ida held a quality of profound peace, a constant lullaby woven from the dripping of unseen springs and the rustle of leaves just beyond its hidden mouth. Sunlight filtered through the dense canopy of ancient trees, fractured into dappled gold and emerald, dancing on the smooth, cool stone walls. The air itself was thick with the scent of damp earth, sweet wild honey, and the faint, comforting musk of goats. This was Zeus's world, a sanctuary carved by nature and guarded by the silent vigilance of those devoted to his secret existence. he knew no other home. From the moment his tiny hands had first grasped the coarse, warm fur of Amalthea, the gentle goat who suckled him, the cave had been his universe. Her presence was a steady, comforting anchor. Her soft bleats a familiar melody in the quiet. Amalthea, with her wise amber eyes, would often watch him with an almost human understanding, nudging him gently with her head when he strayed too far in his childish explorations, or settling beside him, her warm body a living pillow as he drifted into dreams. The nymphs, their laughter like the tinkling of wind chimes, were his playful companions and gentle teachers. Adrastea, with her hair the color of twilight skies, taught him the names of the constellations that glittered like scattered diamonds through the caves, opening on clear nights. Ida, her movements as fluid as the mountain streams, showed him the secret paths of the forest, the hidden springs, and the edible berries that burst with sweet juice on the tongue. They moved with an ethereal grace, their forms sometimes shimmering like heat haze, yet their touch was always warm, their voices soft as whispered secrets. Zeus, even as a small child, possessed a quiet thoughtfulness that belied his tender years. He was not boisterous or demanding, but rather observant, his gaze lingering on the intricate patterns of moss on the rocks, the iridescent sheen on a beetle's wing, or the way the light played tricks on the water's surface. He learned not through rigid lessons, but through immersion. The nymphs would hum ancient lullabies, their melodies carrying the wisdom of the earth and sky, and Zeus would absorb them like the thirsty soil absorbs rain. He would spend hours simply watching the world outside the cave's mouth, a world he knew was vast and full of wonders, yet one he was not yet permitted to fully explore. From his vantage point, he observed the flight of eagles, their majestic wings carving arcs against the endless blue, and the industrious ants marching in unwavering lines across the stone floor. He listened to the murmuring of the wind through the pines, a sound that seemed to carry ancient stories, and the distant, rhythmic crash of waves against the unseen shores, a constant reminder of the world's immense breadth. One afternoon, as a gentle rain pattered against the leaves outside, creating a soothing symphony, Zeus sat beside Amalthea, tracing the intricate patterns on a fallen leaf. Adrastea knelt beside him, her voice a soft murmur. "See, little one," she said, her finger tracing the delicate veins, "how each part serves the whole. No single vein is less important than another, for without one, the leaf cannot thrive." Zeus nodded, his brow furrowed in concentration. He didn't fully grasp the deeper meaning then, but the quiet wisdom of her words settled within him, like seeds planted in fertile ground, waiting for the right moment to sprout. His days unfolded in a rhythm of peaceful discovery. He would wake to the gentle bleating of Amalthea, drink her warm, sweet milk, and then spend his mornings exploring the inner recesses of the cave, his small hands running over the smooth, cool stone, discovering hidden crevices and small, sparkling crystals embedded in the rock. The nymphs would often join him, their soft laughter echoing lightly, never jarring, always harmonious. In the afternoons, they would venture just beyond the cave's immediate entrance into the sun-dappled glades where wild flowers bloomed in riotous colors. Here, Zeus learned about the delicate balance of nature. Ida would point out how the bees pollinated the flowers, how the streams carved paths through the earth, and how every creature, no matter how small, played a vital role in the intricate tapestry of life. The mountain provides, Ida would say, her voice as clear as the mountain springs. And in return, we honor it by living in harmony with its rhythms. Zeus would collect smooth, river-worn stones, arranging them into small, imaginary structures. His mind already beginning to grasp concepts of order and form. He would watch the nymphs as they wove garlands of wildflowers, their fingers deft and graceful, and try to mimic their movements, his own small hands fumbling but persistent. There was a profound sense of protection that enveloped him, a feeling of being cradled by the very essence of the mountain. The Kurites, though unseen by him, were always present, their clashing spears and shields, a distant, rhythmic clang, a sound he had always associated with the approaching twilight, a lullaby of guardianship. He never questioned these sounds, never wondered about their purpose. They were simply part of the fabric of his existence, as natural as the beating of his own heart. His upbringing was one of gentle nourishment, not just of his body, but of his spirit and mind. There was no urgency, no pressure, only the slow, steady unfolding of understanding. He learned patience from watching the slow growth of a sapling into a sturdy tree, humility from observing the vastness of the night sky, and compassion from the gentle devotion of Amalthea and the nymphs. He absorbed the quiet wisdom of the natural world, understanding that true strength lay not in brute force, but in balance, in harmony, and in the interconnectedness of all things. The cave, with its cool embrace, felt like the very heart of the world, a place where time itself moved at a different pace, allowing for deep thought and quiet contemplation. As he grew, the questions began to form in his mind, soft as whispers at first. He would look at the nymphs, so different from himself, and wonder about his own origins. He would observe Amalthea, a creature of instinct and simple needs, and feel a stirring within himself of something more, something that yearned for knowledge beyond the immediate. One evening, as the last rays of sunlight painted the cave entrance in hues of deep orange and purple, Zeus sat by himself, watching a small moth flutter erratically towards a patch of dim light. Adrastea came and sat beside him, her presence a comforting warmth. "What troubles you, little one?" she asked, her voice a gentle caress. Zeus turned to her, his young eyes filled with a nascent curiosity. "Why do I not look like you, Adrastea, or like Amalthea?" And why must we always stay here? Adrastea smiled, a soft, knowing smile that reached her eyes. You are unique, Zeus, she said, her voice imbued with a quiet reverence. And this place, this is your sanctuary for now. There is a time for all things, and your time to understand, to know the world beyond these walls, will come. For now, simply be, grow, learn. And her words, though not a direct answer, carried a profound reassurance. Zeus nodded, a sense of peace settling over him once more. He instinctively trusted her, trusted the nymphs, trusted Amalthea. He knew deep in his young heart that he was safe, loved, and that his path, whatever it may be, was being carefully guided. The cave remained his haven, a womb of destiny where he was nurtured in tranquility. He continued to observe, to listen, to absorb. He learned the language of the winds, the secrets of the flowing water, and the silent wisdom of the ancient stones. He was a child of peace, growing in the heart of a mountain, unknowingly preparing for a future that would shake the very foundations of the cosmos. His strength was not yet physical, but lay in the quiet development of his mind, his spirit, and his deep connection to the natural world that had so lovingly cradled him. The idyllic harmony of his upbringing was not merely a pleasant childhood. It was the subtle forging of a king, tempered by wisdom, compassion, and a profound understanding of balance. As the seasons turned, painting Mount Ida with ever-shifting hues, Zeus grew, his form taking on the sculpted grace of the ancient oaks that dotted the landscape. His childhood, once a tapestry woven with the soft bleating of Amalthea and the playful laughter of the nymphs, began to subtly shift. The quiet curiosity that had always resided within him deepened, evolving into a gentle yearning for understanding. He would often sit by the crystal-clear streams, watching the water flow, pondering the whispers carried on the wind fragments of tales, half-remembered melodies that spoke of a time before his own, of cosmic upheaval and a world shaped by powers unknown. He never felt a burning anger or a fierce desire for retribution. Instead, a profound sense of duty, a quiet knowing, began to bloom within his heart. It was a feeling akin to the earth sensing the coming rain, an intuitive understanding that his path was intertwined with the very fabric of existence. The Kurites, ever watchful, ever silent in their rhythmic guardianship, seemed to sense this shift within him. Their protective dances, once boisterous and lively, became more measured, their chimes softer, as if guiding him gently towards an unseen horizon. One crisp morning, as the first rays of dawn kissed the mountain peaks, Zeus found himself drawn not towards the familiar glades, but to a less trodden path, winding through ancient groves where the trees seemed to hold secrets in their gnarled branches. He moved with an unhurried grace, his footsteps barely disturbing the fallen leaves. His intention was not to seek conflict, but clarity. He sought wisdom, a deeper understanding of the cosmic currents that he now felt swirling around him. His journey led him, not to a grand palace or a bustling city, but to a secluded grotto, hidden behind a veil of shimmering moss and cascading ferns. The air within was cool and still, carrying the faint scent of earth and blooming nightshade. There, bathed in the soft, ethereal glow filtering through a natural aperture above, sat Medes. She was a being of profound serenity, her eyes holding the depth of countless stars, her presence radiating an almost tangible wisdom. She was a titaness, yes, but one who embodied not brute force, but the subtle power of thought and counsel. Zeus approached her with a quiet reverence, his heart open, his mind receptive. He did not demand answers or declare his lineage. Instead, he simply sat before her, a young god seeking guidance, much like a thirsty traveler seeks a spring. "The whispers have grown clearer, wise Medes," Zeus said, his voice a gentle murmur, echoing softly in the grotto. "They speak of a time before my memory, of a great hunger, and of siblings lost to a dark embrace. My spirit feels a connection, a resonance with these tales, yet I lack the full tapestry of understanding." Medes regarded him with a knowing smile, a warmth emanating from her that soothed the subtle unrest within his soul. "The threads of destiny are intricate, young one," she replied, her voice like the rustling of ancient leaves, carrying the weight of ages. "They are woven not with force, but with patience and understanding. Your curiosity is a pure flame, Zeus, a light that seeks not to burn, but to illuminate." She began to speak, not in grand pronouncements, but in a soothing narrative, unfolding the tale of Cronus and Rhea, of the swallowed children, of the ancient prophecy that foretold Cronus's downfall by his own progeny. She spoke of the hidden cave, of Amalthea's gentle care, of the Curetes' tireless protection. As she spoke, the pieces of Zeus's past, once fragmented whispers, began to coalesce into a coherent, albeit sorrowful, history. "It is not anger that guides me, Medes," Zeus affirmed, his gaze steady. "It is a profound sense of rightness. My siblings, they are held in a darkness, not of their choosing. How can one, in good conscience, allow such an imbalance to persist?" Medes nodded, her eyes reflecting the inner light of understanding. "Indeed, the cosmos seeks balance, young Zeus, and balance is achieved not through destruction, but through restoration. There are others, too, who suffer in the deep places, beings of immense power, unjustly confined. Their liberation is also a part of this unfolding tapestry." She then spoke of the hecaton chairs, the 100-handed ones, and the cyclopes, the one-eyed giants. She described their immense strength, their skill in crafting, and their long, unjust imprisonment in the desolate abyss of Tartarus, cast there by Uranus, and later kept there by Cronus. Their cries, though unheard by many, resonate through the very earth, Medes explained, her voice tinged with a gentle sorrow. Their power, when freed, can be a force for creation, not just destruction, but their liberation must be a careful act, a quiet unfolding, not a violent rupture. Zeus listened intently, absorbing every word. He understood that this was not a call to arms, but a call to thoughtful action, a delicate unraveling of ancient injustices. He felt no urge to storm Tartarus with fire and fury. Instead, he envisioned a subtle release, a gentle coaxing of these powerful beings from their long slumber. Guided by Medes' wisdom, Zeus began his quiet preparations. He did not gather armies or forge weapons of war. Instead, he sought out the hidden pathways, the subtle currents that connected the various realms. He learned to navigate the ethereal boundaries between worlds, his presence a mere whisper in the vastness. He moved through forgotten groves, where the trees themselves seemed to part for him, and across shimmering plains, where the air hummed with ancient magic. His journey was a testament to his gentle nature, relying on intuition and connection rather than brute force. His journey to Tartarus was not a descent into a fiery hell, but a quiet, almost meditative passage through layers of shadow and silence. He moved like a phantom, his steps light, his intentions pure. The air grew heavy with the weight of ages, of forgotten sorrows and ancient confinement. But even in that oppressive darkness, Zeus carried a spark of hope, a gentle light of purpose. He found the hecatoncheires first, their immense forms slumbering in the abyssal gloom, their 100 hands intertwined in a silent lament. They were not bound by chains of iron, but by the weight of their long imprisonment, a psychic burden that had settled upon their very essence. Zeus did not shout commands or rattle their invisible bonds. Instead, he extended his consciousness, a wave of pure, unwavering compassion washing over them. He spoke to them, not with words, but with a silent understanding, a gentle empathy that bypassed the need for language. He projected images of the sun, of the open sky, of the freedom they had been denied for so long. He conveyed a promise of restoration, of a world where their immense strength could be used for building, for creation, not just for the raw power of their existence. He showed them visions of mountains being shaped, of rivers being guided, of the very fabric of the world being woven by their countless hands, not in toil, but in harmony. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the heavy slumber began to lift. A tremor, like the first stirrings of an awakening earthquake, rippled through their colossal forms. One by one, their countless eyes, long closed, began to flicker open, revealing depths of ancient pain, but also a nascent spark of hope. There was no sudden burst of power, no dramatic roar of liberation. It was a quiet, internal shift, a gentle unfurling of their immense beings. The time for slumber is past, great ones, Zeus communicated, his silent voice echoing in their awakened minds. The world awaits your strength, your craft, not for vengeance, but for balance. And they rose, not with a triumphant shout, but with a silent, ponderous grace, their 100 hands slowly unclenching. their forms emerging from the shadows like ancient mountains, shedding their winter cloaks. They looked at Zeus, their eyes holding a profound gratitude, a silent acknowledgement of the gentle hand that had set them free. Next, Zeus sought out the Cyclopes. They too were held in a similar state of confined slumber, their single, powerful eyes closed to the world. Their prison was not a physical cell, but a deep-seated despair, a resignation to their fate. Again, Zeus approached them with the same quiet reverence, the same gentle intention. He did not appeal to their strength, but to their inherent creativity, their mastery of forging and crafting. He showed them visions of tools, of magnificent structures, of the raw elements of the earth transformed by their skilled hands. He offered them not just freedom, but purpose. He showed them the intricate beauty of a perfectly crafted jewel, the elegant curve of a bridge spanning a chasm, the subtle hum of a machine designed to bring light and warmth. As with the Hecaton chairs, their awakening was subtle, a slow, deliberate unfurling. Their single eyes, when they opened, were not filled with rage, but with a quiet, thoughtful intensity. They saw in Zeus not a liberator seeking to use them as pawns, but a compassionate being who understood their true potential. "Your craft is needed, mighty ones," Zeus conveyed, his silent voice resonating with respect. "The cosmos calls for your artistry, your ability to shape and create. A new age dawns, and with it, a need for the tools and wonders that only your hands can forge." The Cyclopes rose, their massive forms moving with a quiet determination. They did not speak aloud, but their single eyes conveyed a deep understanding, a silent pledge of allegiance born not of fear or obligation, but of a shared vision. As Zeus quietly led the Hecaton chairs and Cyclopes from the depths of Tartarus, there was no fanfare, no cosmic tremor. Their liberation was a gentle easing, a quiet migration from darkness into the subtle twilight that preceded the dawn of a new era. They emerged not as vengeful spirits, but as beings reawakened to their true potential, ready to lend their immense power and skill to a cause that sought balance and harmony. Guided by the quiet wisdom of a young god who understood that true strength lay not in force, but in gentle purpose and profound understanding. The cool, damp air of the hidden grotto hung heavy with the scent of night-blooming jasmine and the earthy aroma of ancient roots. Zeus, no longer the small, curious child of Ida, stood before Medes, his gaze steady, reflecting the flickering light of the single torch that illuminated their clandestine sanctuary. The wisdom of ages seemed to emanate from Medes. Her eyes, deep as the starry void, held a knowing calm. She gestured towards a cluster of glistening, dewy herbs, their leaves unfurling like tiny emerald hands. Medes' voice, a soft murmur that resonated deep within Zeus's being, began to weave its instruction. She spoke not of harsh concoctions or violent purges, but of a gentle persuasion, a subtle coaxing that would lull Cronus's formidable stomach into a state of serene release. Zeus listened intently, his fingers tracing the delicate veins of the herbs as Medes described their properties. There was the silvery moon petal, known for its soothing embrace, and the sun-kissed golden root, whose warmth could melt away even the most stubborn of bonds. She spoke of the whispering willow bark, its essence capable of inducing a dreamlike state, and the crystalline dewdrop, gathered only from the purest mountain springs, to bind the mixture with a clear, tranquil energy. Zeus, guided by Medes's every subtle cue, began the careful preparation. He moved with a quiet reverence, his large hands, usually so capable of wielding strength, now moved with an almost ethereal lightness. He crushed the moonpetal leaves between smooth, river-worn stones, releasing their faint, sweet perfume into the air. The golden root, grated finely, shimmered like scattered starlight. He steeped the willow bark in warm, filtered water, watching as the liquid slowly took on a pale, amber hue. Each ingredient was added with deliberate intention, a silent prayer woven into its very essence. There was no haste, no urgency, only the patient, rhythmic movements of creation. Medes observed him, a faint, approving smile playing on her lips. She did not interfere, trusting in the innate wisdom that resided within Zeus, a wisdom nurtured by the quiet solitude of his upbringing. She had merely provided the knowledge. The execution, the delicate balance, was his own. The concoction, once complete, was not a bitter draught, but a shimmering, almost translucent liquid imbued with a soft, iridescent glow. It smelled faintly of distant meadows and the cool breath of a summer night. "This," Medes whispered, her voice barely audible above the gentle rustle of leaves outside, "will not cause him pain, but a deep, untroubled slumber, a dream from which he will awaken, unburdened." Zeus nodded, understanding the profound gentleness of the task. He poured the shimmering liquid into a small, elegant chalice, carved from the purest white marble, its surface cool and smooth beneath his fingertips. The time for action was near, yet the atmosphere remained one of serene anticipation, not of impending conflict. Under the cloak of the deepest night, Zeus made his way to Cronus's slumbering chambers. The air thrummed with the ancient, heavy silence of the Titan's sleep. Cronus, immense and formidable even in repose, lay sprawled across his throne, a mountain of slumbering power. His breathing was deep and resonant, a slow, steady rhythm that filled the vast chamber. Zeus approached with the quiet grace of a shadow, his footsteps making no sound on the polished stone floor. He held the chalice steady, its faint glow casting a soft luminescence on his determined face. There was no fear in his heart, only a profound sense of purpose, a quiet conviction that he was merely restoring what had been taken, gently guiding the river of destiny back to its natural course. As he drew closer, a fleeting thought crossed his mind. The weight of this moment, the delicate balance between past and future, all resting on this single, subtle act. He felt a pang of empathy for Cronus, understanding the burden of the prophecy that had driven him to such desperate measures. Yet his resolve remained firm. This was not an act of vengeance, but of cosmic correction. He knelt beside the sleeping Titan, his hand steady as he carefully tilted the chalice to Cronus's lips. The shimmering liquid, almost imperceptibly, began to flow. Cronus, deep in his potion-induced slumber, stirred slightly, a soft sigh escaping his lips, as if welcoming a cool, refreshing drink in a dream. The potion, gentle as a lover's whisper, worked its subtle magic. A profound stillness settled over the chamber. The air grew thick with a sense of suspended time, as if the very cosmos held its breath. Then slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, a ripple began to spread across Cronus's vast form. It was not a violent spasm, but a soft, internal undulation, like a gentle wave breaking upon a tranquil shore. A soft, almost melodic sound, like the turning of a great, ancient key, emanated from Cronus. And then, one by one, with an ethereal grace that defied their long imprisonment, the siblings began to emerge. First came Hestia, her form shimmering into existence like a wisp of dawn mist, her eyes wide with a gentle wonder. She floated free, her expression one of profound peace, as if waking from a long, sweet dream. There was no struggle, no pain, only a quiet, almost reverent unfolding. Then Demeter, her presence bringing with it the subtle scent of fertile earth, her hands reaching out instinctively as if to embrace the very air. Next, Hera, her beauty emerging with a soft, regal glow, her gaze sweeping the chamber with a quiet dignity. Poseidon followed, his form seeming to coalesce from the very essence of the sea, a silent, powerful presence. And finally, Hades, his emergence bringing with it a profound stillness, a deep calm that resonated with the silent mysteries of the underworld. They floated, suspended for a moment in the air, ethereal and luminous, their eyes slowly opening to the reality of their freedom. There was no cry of triumph, no shout of vengeance, only a shared breath of quiet awe, a silent recognition of each other, of their shared plight and their miraculous reunion. They were whole, unmarred by their long imprisonment, their spirits untouched by the darkness of Cronus's belly. And then, with a final, gentle sigh from Cronus, another object emerged, settling softly onto the stone floor with a faint, resonant thud. It was the stone, cold and unyielding, the very stone that Cronus had swallowed in Zeus's stead, a silent testament to his deception. It lay there, inert and unremarkable, a stark contrast to the vibrant, living beings who now stood free. Its presence was a quiet reminder of the past, a symbol of the deception that had bound them, now lying harmlessly, a discarded lie. The chamber was bathed in the soft, ethereal glow of the newly freed Olympians, Their reunion was not one of boisterous celebration, but of hushed wonder, a silent acknowledgement of the gentle turning of the cosmic wheel. Zeus, standing amidst his siblings, felt a profound sense of peace wash over him. The air, once heavy with the presence of the sleeping Titan, now hummed with a new, quiet energy, a promise of balance restored, of a destiny gently unfurling. The journey had been one of subtle persuasion, of quiet strength, and the triumph was in the gentle unfolding, the serene return of what was meant to be. The soft, ethereal glow of the moonbeams, filtered through the ancient olive trees, painted the clearing in hues of silver and lavender. A hush had fallen over the world, a deep, expectant silence that seemed to hold its breath. Here, amidst the fragrant wild thyme and the rustling leaves, the newly freed Olympians began to stir. They had emerged from Cronus's vast, cavernous being, not with a jolt of terror, but with a gentle unfurling, as if waking from a long, dreamless sleep. First, Hestia, the eldest, materialized. Her form shimmered with an inner warmth, like the steady, comforting glow of a hearth. Her eyes, wide and luminous, surveyed the moonlit glade, and a quiet sigh, barely audible, escaped her lips. There was no fear in her gaze, only a profound sense of peace, as if she had always known this moment would come. Then, Demeter, her presence resonating with the fertile earth itself, solidified beside her sister. A delicate scent of fresh soil and blooming flowers seemed to emanate from her, a subtle perfume that filled the air. She reached out a hand, her fingers brushing Hestia's arm in a gesture of unspoken comfort and recognition. A gentle smile, tender and knowing, touched her lips. Hera, regal even in this nascent state, appeared next. Her aura was one of quiet power, a promise of sovereignty yet to be fully realized. Her eyes, the color of a clear summer sky, held a depth of understanding that belied her recent emergence. She looked from Hestia to Demeter, and a silent affirmation passed between them, a shared understanding of their shared past and the path that lay ahead. A ripple in the air, a scent of brine and distant storms, heralded the arrival of Poseidon. He coalesced with an easy grace, his form fluid and strong, like the ocean currents he would one day command. His gaze, the deep blue of the sea, swept over his sisters, and a slow, acknowledging nod passed between them. There was no need for words. The bond forged in the silent darkness of their father's belly was now made manifest in the soft light of the world. Finally, Hades, cloaked in an aura of profound stillness, joined them. His presence was not cold or foreboding, but rather like the deep, rich earth itself, ancient, unmoving, and holding profound secrets. His eyes, dark and contemplative, met those of his siblings, and a quiet sense of belonging settled over the clearing. They stood together, the five of them, a silent tableau under the watchful gaze of the moon. There was no frantic embrace, no tearful reunion. Instead, Their coming together was marked by a profound tenderness, a gentle recognition that transcended the need for effusive display. Each of them carried the subtle imprint of their shared experience, the long, quiet passage within Cronus, and the gentle release that had brought them back into the world. Hestia, her voice a soft murmur, finally broke the silence. The quiet, it is profound. Her words hung in the air, a gentle invitation to contemplation. Demeter, her gaze sweeping over the verdant landscape, added, "The earth breathes. It remembers." Her tone was one of deep connection, as if she could feel the pulse of the world beneath her feet. Hera, her eyes fixed on the distant horizon, where the first hint of dawn would soon appear, spoke with a quiet certainty. "We are here. We are whole." Her words were a statement of fact, a quiet declaration of their existence. Poseidon, a faint smile touching his lips, extended a hand, and a small, shimmering orb of water formed in his palm, swirling with silent grace. "The currents are changing. We can feel it." His voice was calm, resonant with the gentle power that now flowed through him. Hades, his stillness unwavering, offered his own observation. "The shadows, they hold stories, and silence, a deeper truth." His words were like the rustle of dry leaves, carrying an ancient wisdom. They did not speak of Cronus, not directly. There was no need to recount the tyranny they had endured, for it was a shared understanding, a silent scar etched into their very beings, the memory of his vast, consuming presence, the silent, suspended existence within him, had forged an unbreakable bond between them. It was a bond not born of shared suffering, but of shared emergence, of a collective awakening into a world that now felt new and full of possibility. Their reunion was a dance of subtle gestures, of knowing glances and soft breaths. Hestia's warmth enveloped them, a silent embrace. Demeter's grounding presence anchored them to the earth. Hera's quiet strength promised stability and order. Poseidon's fluid energy hinted at vast, untamed potentials. And Hades's deep stillness provided a sense of profound peace and acceptance. There was no talk of war, no strategy sessions, no clamor for vengeance. Such thoughts felt distant, out of place in this serene moment of rebirth. Instead, a shared sense of destiny hummed between them, an unspoken understanding that their liberation was not merely an end, but a beginning. They were the new guardians, the inheritors of a world yearning for balance and harmony. The air around them seemed to shimmer with a quiet strength, a collective power that was gentle yet undeniable. It was the strength of unity, of purpose, of a shared vision for a future where order would replace chaos and light would banish the shadows. They stood as a testament to the power of gentle purpose, to the subtle unfolding of fate. As the first faint blush of rose appeared on the eastern horizon, painting the sky with delicate colors, Hestia turned her gaze towards it. "The dawn approaches," she murmured, her voice filled with a quiet reverence. Demeter reached out, and gently touched a blade of grass, a single dewdrop clinging to its tip. And with it, new growth. Hera's eyes, now reflecting the growing light, held a quiet resolve. A new age begins. And Poseidon, his gaze fixed on the distant, unseen ocean, whispered, "The tides will turn." And Hades, his deep eyes reflecting the nascent light, concluded, "From the silence, creation stirs." And they knew, without needing to articulate it, that Zeus, their youngest brother, had been the catalyst for this gentle awakening. They felt his presence, a subtle hum in the air, a guiding force that had orchestrated their quiet liberation. And in that shared understanding, a silent decision solidified within them. They would stand together, not against, but for the balance of the cosmos, for the gentle unfolding of destiny, for the quiet strength that would guide them in the age to come. Their unity was not a weapon, but a promise of harmony, of renewal, and of a world gently guided by their collective wisdom. The clearing remained bathed in the soft, growing light, holding the silent testament of their reunion, a peaceful beginning to an age yet to unfold. The world, still soft with the dawn of a new age, hummed with an almost imperceptible shift. The air itself seemed to thicken, not with tension, but with a profound, resonant energy from the deepest caverns of the earth, where ancient fires smoldered. The Cyclopes emerged, their single eyes gleaming not with malice, but with a deep, knowing light. They did not stride forth with boasts or threats, but moved with the quiet dignity of primordial artisans. To Zeus, they offered a gift born of the very fabric of the cosmos. It was not a weapon forged in searing heat, but a conduit, a focus for the raw, untamed power of the sky. They presented him with the lightning, not as a bolt of destruction, but as a shimmering, ethereal staff, pulsing with an inner luminescence. When Zeus reached out to take it, his touch was gentle, almost reverent. The air around him shimmered, and a soft, guiding light emanated from the staff, illuminating the nascent clouds above. It was a beacon, a promise of clarity and direction, not a harbinger of storm. To Poseidon, they extended a trident, not sharp with points of war, but smooth and polished like sea-worn glass. It pulsed with the deep, rhythmic thrum of the ocean, an extension of the tides, a whisper of the currents. When Poseidon clasped it, the very air around him grew cool and damp, and a gentle mist rose from the earth, swirling around his feet like an embrace. The trident was a symbol of command over the vast, flowing waters, a tool for shaping the gentle ebb and flow, not for churning destructive waves. And to Hades, they offered a helm dark as the deepest night, yet shimmering with an internal starlight. It was not a helmet of war, but a veil, a cloak of profound stillness and invisibility. When Hades placed it upon his head, he did not vanish with a sudden jolt, but rather, his form seemed to soften at the edges, blending seamlessly with the shadows, becoming one with the quiet depths of the earth. It was the power of unseen presence, of profound introspection, of the silent, unseen forces that guide the world from beneath. This was not a battlefield, but a grand cosmic theater. The Titanomachy, the great shifting of power, began not with the clang of metal or the roar of battle cries, but with a symphony of elemental forces. The Olympians, now subtly amplified by the Cyclops' gentle gifts, did not charge forward. Instead, they stood as focal points, conduits for the natural energies of the world. Zeus, with the luminous lightning staff held aloft, began to breathe. With each exhale, the clouds above him swirled and shifted, not into thunderheads, but into vast, ethereal tapestries of white and gray, drifting across the sky with a majestic slowness. Gentle winds, born of his subtle command, began to sweep across the land, carrying with them the scent of fresh rain and ozone. These were not gales of destruction, but currents of change, subtly nudging the ancient, entrenched energies of the Titans. The lightning itself did not strike. Instead, it pulsed with a soft, internal glow, a guiding light that seemed to illuminate the path forward, a silent declaration of a new order. Poseidon, with the ocean-tuned trident, extended his hand towards the earth. The ground beneath them did not rupture, but began to undulate with a slow, rhythmic tremor, like the gentle pulse of a sleeping giant. Subterranean waters, stirred by his quiet command, began to flow with a renewed vigor, their murmur rising to a soft, resonant hum. The very earth seemed to sigh, a deep, ancient breath, as if acknowledging the shift. The tremors were not violent upheavals, but profound, internal adjustments, a rebalancing of the land itself. Hades, cloaked in the subtle invisibility of his helm, moved through the shadows, a silent, unseen presence. His influence was not felt as a crushing weight, but as a deepening of the quietude, a profound stillness that began to settle over the landscape. The shadows lengthened, not with menace, but with a sense of profound peace, inviting introspection and rest. It was the gentle embrace of the unseen, the quiet strength of what lies beneath the surface, guiding energies back to their source. The Titans, ancient and vast, did not rage. They were not met with aggression, but with an overwhelming, yet gentle, wave of elemental energy. Their forms, once so solid and imposing, seemed to subtly soften at the edges, their ancient power, rooted in a bygone era, beginning to wane in the face of this new, vibrant force. They did not fall in battle, but rather began a gradual, almost imperceptible retreat. Their immense bodies, once anchoring the very fabric of the world, seemed to drift backward, as if carried by an unseen tide. The air around them grew lighter, the light of Zeus's staff subtly permeating the lingering shadows of their dominion. The ground beneath their feet, once so firm and unyielding, seemed to gently release its hold, becoming softer, more yielding. The very essence of their ancient power which had once defined the world, was not ripped away, but gently eased into a state of quiet dormancy. There was no direct physical violence, no shattering blows or screams of pain. This was a majestic cosmic dance, a ballet of elemental forces. The winds whispered of change, the earth hummed with new life, and the light of a new dawn began to fully illuminate the world. The Titans, in their slow, dignified retreat, seemed to fade, not into oblivion, but into a profound, almost dreamlike slumber. Their departure was not a defeat, but a necessary rebalancing, a quiet turning of the cosmic wheel. The world sighed, a deep, contented breath, as the gentle shifting of power continued, ushering in an era of harmony and renewal. As the last whispers of the old age faded, a profound stillness settled over the cosmos. The Titanomachy, not a cacophony of war, but a symphony of subtle shifts, had reached its gentle crescendo. The ancient Titans, once formidable in their primeval might, now drifted, not vanquished, but lulled into a deep, serene slumber. Their descent was not a plunge into a fiery abyss, but a quiet, almost reverent lowering into the very heart of the earth, into the realm known as Tartarus. Imagine, if you will, not a dungeon of chains and torment, but a vast, echoing chamber of profound quietude, a place where the very concept of time stretches and thins into an endless, soothing present. Tartarus was a cradle, not a prison. Here, the earth's deepest hum resonated, a lullaby woven from the planet's slow, steady breath. The air within was thick with the scent of ancient earth and the faint, sweet perfume of slumbering ages, soft, ethereal light, born not of sun or stars, but of the earth's own inner glow, pulsed gently, illuminating the vast, silent forms of the sleeping Titans. The soft moss that cushioned their forms was exceptionally comfortable, yielding to their immense weight like a cloud, cradling them in a profound, dreamless sleep. Their descent was a slow, deliberate ballet. Kronos, no longer burdened by the weight of time he had once sought to devour, settled first, his vast form easing onto a bed of soft, subterranean moss. His breath, once a mighty gust, now a barely perceptible sigh, stirred the dust motes that danced in the gentle light. Rhea, her strength now turned inward, lay beside him, her features softened by a tranquility she had never known in the tumultuous eons of her reign. One by one, the other Titans followed, each finding their resting place in this deep, restorative haven. Oceanus, his waters now calm within him, became a still, reflective pool. Tethys, her embrace no longer for the swirling currents of the world, found solace in the quietude. Hyperion, the sun's former embodiment, now radiated a soft, inner warmth, a gentle ember in the cosmic night. The Olympians, with the hecaton chairs, gently ushered them, guiding their immense forms with a subtle, collective energy, ensuring their peaceful transition into this profound rest. This was not punishment, but but a necessary rebalancing, a cosmic exhalation. The old energies, vast and untamed, were not destroyed, but rather folded back into the earth, allowed to rest and renew themselves in the profound stillness of Tartarus. It was a space for reflection, not remorse, for deep, dreamless sleep, not restless agony. The very fabric of the cosmos sighed with relief, a contented breath drawn after an age of fervent growth. And who were the guardians of this sacred slumber? Not fierce jailers, but the gentle, watchful hecaton chairs, those 100-handed beings of immense strength. Their presence here was not to enforce, but to safeguard. Their countless hands, once capable of wielding immense force, now moved with an almost imperceptible grace, tending to the subtle energies of Tartarus. They were the cosmic nannies, ensuring that the Titan's slumber remained undisturbed, their rest profound and unbroken, their 100 eyes, once sharp and piercing, now held a soft, knowing gaze, reflecting the deep peace of the realm they oversaw. They were the silent witnesses to this grand cosmic pause, their very being a testament to the harmony that now permeated the universe. There was no clanging of chains, no anguished cries, only the soft rustle of cosmic dust, the gentle hum of the earth's core, and the deep, even breathing of the slumbering giants. The air was filled with a sense of rightness, of an order restored not through force, but through an inherent, gentle shifting of cosmic plates. It was as if the universe itself had decided it was time for a long, well-deserved nap for its ancient architects, making way for the vibrant, new energies that were beginning to stir above. The Olympians, who had been the instruments of this gentle transition, watched from above, their hearts filled not with triumph, but with a quiet understanding. Zeus, his lightning staff, now a symbol of illumination rather than raw power, felt the profound peace settle within him. He understood that true strength lay not in domination, but in the wisdom to guide, to nurture, and to allow for the natural ebb and flow of existence. Poseidon, his trident now a conduit for the earth's gentle rhythms, felt the subterranean waters of Tartarus resonate with a profound calmness, mirroring the newfound tranquility of the oceans above. Hades, his helm of invisibility, now signifying not concealment, but profound stillness, sensed the deep, quiet energy that emanated from the earth's core, a grounding force for the entire cosmos. The world above, no longer subject to the raw, untamed forces of the elder gods, began to bloom with a new, delicate vibrancy. The skies cleared, the winds whispered tales of gentle change, and the earth, having exhaled its ancient burdens, breathed anew, ready to embrace the dawn of a different age. The gentle confinement of the Titans in Tartarus was not an ending, but a profound pause, a necessary resetting of the cosmic clock, allowing for the gentle unfolding of a new era, an era of harmony, wisdom, and a benevolent, guiding light. The old ways had not been violently overthrown, but rather They had been lovingly tucked away, allowed to rest, so that the new could flourish in the quietude they had created. The ethereal mist that had veiled the world for eons began to dissipate, not with a sudden gust, but with a gentle sigh, revealing a landscape reborn. High above, where the clouds once merely drifted, a new peak emerged, its slopes bathed in the soft luminescence of a dawn that stretched across eternity. This was Olympus, not forged in fire and struggle, but breathed into existence, a testament to the gentle shifting of cosmic power. Its valleys cradled shimmering rivers that flowed with liquid starlight. Its forests whispered ancient secrets through leaves of emerald and sapphire, and its air hummed with a harmony that resonated deep within the soul. The Olympians, now fully awakened to their roles, found their home here, a sanctuary of unparalleled beauty and tranquility. They had not claimed it through conquest, but through a natural alignment with the world's renewed pulse. Zeus, his form radiating a calm, golden light, stood at the pinnacle, his lightning staff, no longer a weapon of command, but a beacon of guidance, resting lightly in his hand. He looked upon his siblings, their faces reflecting the serene peace that now permeated the cosmos. "The time has come," Zeus said, his voice a low, resonant hum, like the distant murmur of a wise river. "The world has found its new balance, and with it, our purpose. The ancient energies have settled, and a new era of growth and understanding dawns." Hera, ever watchful and discerning, spoke with a gentle query. "Brother, the path ahead is vast. How shall we ensure our collective wisdom guides this new age, and that our unity remains unbroken?" Her voice was soft, yet carried the weight of her deep concern for harmony. Zeus turned to her, a warm smile gracing his lips. "Sister, our strength lies not in decree, but in shared counsel. Let us establish a tradition of open dialogue, where every voice, every perspective, contributes to the tapestry of our reign. For instance, the very air of Olympus, though serene, holds subtle currents. How might we best ensure its purity and the flow of inspiration it carries?" Hestia, ever practical and grounded, offered, "Perhaps a daily gathering, a quiet moment where we share our observations and intentions for the world below, a gentle exchange, like the morning dew settling on the leaves." Demeter nodded in agreement. "And in our individual realms, we shall seek to foster balance. The earth, though bountiful, requires careful tending. We must teach, not command, the rhythms of growth and sustenance." Poseidon, his smooth trident shimmering with the gentle ebb and flow of the primordial waters, stepped forward. "The depths call to me, brother, the vast, unseen currents that shape the very essence of existence. I feel their quiet strength, their boundless potential. Let the oceans be my realm, a canvas for the world's dreams, a cradle for its life." His voice was as calm and deep as the ocean itself, devoid of any trace of the tempestuous power he could wield, now solely focused on nurturing. Hades, cloaked in a profound stillness. His helm, reflecting the quiet introspection of the Earth's core, spoke next. And I, the unseen, the silent guardian of what lies beneath, the roots of all things, the quiet repose of existence. Let the hidden realms, the gentle descent into slumber, be my domain, not a place of fear, but of profound rest, of quiet renewal, where all things return to find peace before their next awakening. His words were like the soft rustle of leaves in a twilight forest, soothing and profound. Zeus nodded, his gaze encompassing them all, not just his brothers, but Hera, her form shimmering with the nurturing warmth of the hearth, Demeter, her presence radiating the fertile promise of the earth, Hestia, the embodiment of unwavering tranquility, and all the others who had found their true essence in this gentle rebalancing. And I, he said, his voice filled with a quiet humility that belied his immense power, will watch over the skies, the vast expanse where thoughts take flight, where inspiration dances with the winds, not as a ruler who commands, but as a shepherd who guides. For true strength, my beloved siblings, lies not in force, but in wisdom, in fairness, and in the harmony we foster among ourselves and with the world below. There was no debate, no struggle for dominance. The division of realms was not an act of decree, but a natural unfolding, each deity drawn to the aspect of existence that resonated most deeply with their awakened spirit. The lightning staff in Zeus's hand pulsed softly, not with electric might, but with a comforting glow, illuminating the serene faces of his family. From Olympus, their benevolent influence spread like the gentle warmth of the rising sun. The world below, once a tapestry of raw, untamed forces, now began to flourish with an unprecedented tranquility. Rivers flowed with a song of contentment. Forests stretched their branches towards the soft light, and the very air vibrated with a sense of peaceful resolution. Mortals, no longer subject to the unpredictable whims of ancient, primal powers, found solace and guidance in the consistent, nurturing presence of the Olympians. Zeus's reign was not marked by thunderous pronouncements or displays of overwhelming might, but by the subtle orchestration of cosmic order. Disputes among the nascent civilizations were resolved not through conflict, but through wise counsel, whispered into the winds and carried on the gentle currents of the rivers. Harvests were abundant, not because of divine intervention, but because the earth, guided by Demeter's nurturing touch, yielded its bounty freely. The cycles of life and death, watched over by Hades, became a natural progression, a quiet understanding of transformation rather than an abrupt end. The hecaton chairs, their forms now imbued with a gentle, watchful wisdom, continued their vigil over Tartarus, ensuring the Titan's undisturbed slumber. Their presence was a soft hum of guardianship, a promise of eternal peace for the ancient ones who had gracefully receded from the forefront of creation. Kronos and Rhea, along with their kin, rested deeply within the Earth's core, their vast forms contributing to the very stability of the world, their ancient energies slowly renewing, awaiting a distant, gentle reawakening that would only come when the cosmos called for their unique presence once more. The air on Olympus was always fresh, carrying the scent of blooming ambrosia and the distant, soothing murmur of the celestial spheres. The gods moved with an unhurried grace, their interactions marked by mutual respect and a shared purpose. Hera, with her gentle hand, wove the threads of family and community, fostering bonds that would endure through the ages. Hestia tended the eternal flame of Olympus, a beacon of peace and continuity that warmed the very fabric of existence. The world bloomed under their benevolent gaze, not forced into submission, but encouraged to grow in its own unique rhythm. The very concept of conflict seemed a distant echo, a relic of an age that had gently faded into profound quietude. This was the dawn of Olympus, not an empire built on conquest, but a sanctuary forged in wisdom, sustained by harmony, and guided by the gentle hand of a king who understood that true power lay in nurturing, not in dominance. The cosmos breathed a collective sigh of contentment, settling into a tranquil rhythm that promised an era of enduring peace and gentle unfolding.